Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm, and in this video we are going to learn how to create this character creator function here. This function is going to essentially allow your player to name their character and choose which role their character plays. So in traditional fantasy games like Dungeons and Dragons, in role-playing games, this is called your player's class, or what class is your player? Are they a rogue or a mage or a fighter or a, whatever, right? Now, once they choose their player's class, which is not to be confused with the player class being a structure that holds many different variables. In this, it's what role do they play? What are they, anyway, you get it. Once they choose their player's class, we're going to use this print character function that we wrote last time to put their stats on the screen, and we're going to ask them, is this the player or is this the character you want, or do you want to try again? And then depending on their answer, we either run this character creator class again or function again, or we move on to the next part of the game. Okay, so let's get into creating it. First, let's create our let's give them a little bit of a menu header, right? So we'll say character creator. Let's put some hyphens in there to make it look nice. Okay. Perfect. Next, we want to basically change their name. We want to ask them to give us their name, and then we're going to use whatever they type. We're going to replace this with whatever they type, right? So we want to access the name variable inside the player class. All right, so the way we're going to do that is just like we normally do. First, we will access the player class and say player.name equals, it's going to be input, and we'll say enter your name. We're also going to use .capitalize. Now what .capitalize does is it takes whatever they type and it turns it into capitalization, or it turns it into capital letters. Now it doesn't turn it into all capital letters, right? What it does is it makes the first letter of what they type capitalized and the rest of it lowercase, just like a proper noun should be. And names are proper nouns, so we want it to follow those same rules. All right, so we have their name. Then we are going to get their input for what their class is going to be. Okay, so player class equals input, new line, and we'll put a new line here as well. I like new lines. I like space in my console. All right, so player class input, we'll say choose your class, fighter, mage, you're not going to be able to see over there. Let's squish this over here. Okay, that should be good. Fighter, mage, rogue. And we will capitalize this as well, because we want to, especially for this one, because we're going to be comparing exactly this here in just a minute. So we want to make sure that it's written the way we want it to be written. So we'll say if player.player class equals, come on, fighter. So we're looking for specifically this, capital F, lowercase iter, and I spelled it wrong here. You guys probably noticed that and were yelling at me through your screens. If player.player class equals fighter, then we are going to change the health of our player to 150 because fighters have a lot of health. We'll change our mana to 50 because fighters don't have a lot of mana. And we'll change our attack to 100. Okay. And then we will basically do the same thing with the rogue or the mage. Both, actually. We'll do mage first. Mage's health is going to be 100. Its mana will be 150. And the attack is 50 because they don't do a lot of damage. The rogue, however, is going to be very squishy. So 50 health, 100 mana, but 150 attack. They do a lot of damage. Now, these could be ifs, but we don't want them to be ifs. We want them to be elifs because we want to link these statements logically together. So we only want to check if they wrote mage if they didn't write fighter, right? So if, elif, then we need an else at the end. And what we want our else to do is we want else to basically track if they've typed something other than what we're looking for here. We'll say print I don't recognize that response. Please try again. Now the thing is, in order to give them the ability to try again, we need all of this to be inside of a loop. So what we can do is, up here, before they choose their player's class, let's create a while loop, and we'll just make it an infinite loop here. So while true, and we will indent all of that. Now, the way I did that was I selected all of my text, and then I hit the tab key to indent it once. If you want to unindent, it's shift tab, tab to indent, shift tab to unindent. All right, anyway, so I've indented all that, so it's inside my while loop. Now we need a way to break out of this while loop if they get the right answer, or if they choose one of these three we're looking for. That's pretty easy to do. All we have to do is write a break at the end of each of these so that we break out of the loop if they get the right answer. Now, the other thing we want to do is we want to ask them a question down here once they've chosen their player's class. We want to ask them, well, we want to print their character, so let's do that. Now, we don't want this inside the else, and we don't want this inside of the while loop either. So I'm going to hit backspace twice, so we delete two indents, and we're on the same hierarchical level as the while loop. Let's print our character onto the screen. See, that's why it's handy. That's why we write these functions beforehand, because now that we have this written, it'll just call it and we don't ever have to rewrite this again. Anyway, so we're going to print our character. Then we'll we'll call it a choice, create a variable called choice, and we'll say input, keep this hero, y/n. We're going to make that lower because we're only looking for y or n. And what we can do is we can put all of this inside of a loop as well. So we're going to do that above, like right below the character creator, but above where they write their name, while true. And we're going to indent all of this. So we'll hit tab again. So now all of that is inside this while loop. Okay, so if choice equals y, meaning yes, we want to keep the character, then we'll break. If they type anything else, it'll loop back up to the top and ask them to enter their name again. Okay, so that's essentially, that is the character creator screen. Let's test it really quick just to make sure it works. Let me bring this over. Go. Oh, I need to call it first. Let me come down here, and instead of calling my character, oh yeah, I am calling character creator already. All right. So enter your name, David. Here, let me scooch my screen over just a little bit so it's easier to see. So, let's see, it says choose your class. Let's run this again. David, all right. Fighter. So, character's name is David, class fighter, health 150, mana. Do I want to keep this hero? Now let's do it again. Enter your name, Steve. Steve is going to be a mage. Steve the mage. No, let's try something else. Rebecca. Rebecca is a rogue. Sure, I'll keep that hero. And then we're done. Okay, so that is the character class, or the character creator function. So go ahead and implement that in your game, and we will move on next time. Thank you very much for paying attention. I'll see you guys later.